No, I just wanted to let you know I've been a Patreon member for the last month.
Oh my God.
I'm so flattered.
So, and now I can't.
That's where that person came from.
No offense, but I can't cancel now because I have a Patreon as well, and I only have like 30 people on it, right?
Sure.
And when one person cancels, it's like, what the fuck else? Like
did
some
I-
of them are my friends, and I'm like, why'd you cancel?
What I do? Yeah.
I do that with mailing lists. I have people from
People
old mailing lists that
unsubscribe, yeah.
unsubscribe. You're like, Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
Welcome to The Downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi. This is the last episode of the year.
Is it
We're
really?
recording a little early, but this is the last episode of the year.
What day is it right now?
It is
Tuesday.
When it's coming out.
Yeah.
It's the 31st.
Wow. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve.
What were you about to? Merry
I don't know.
Christmas?
You know
Oh
me.
my God.
You know me. I'm a super Christian.
Yeah.
I just spent a week
big
in
old
Texas.
Christian.
Oh, is this a Christian podcast?
Yes.
This is.
It's gonna
this
be.
is The
If I
Downside
had my
is hell,
say.
and it's about how to avoid going to the downside. Oh man, I have a joke about hell that's bombing
Really?
on stage.
Let's work. Let's burn big.
How many
Okay.
times have you done it?
It's okay. So it's really mean.
Okay.
And it's a friend of mine. So I have a chunk about a friend, and they're this is the friend that I talk to about my jokes. Sometimes I'll call them and run an hour of new jokes.
Okay, yeah.
So they went through I guess you could call it a suicidal spell, so to speak. And so there's been a chunk about building that. And it starts with if you're going to see the stand-up soon, don't listen to this. It starts with like, have you ever tried talking to a friend about killing themselves and realize you don't have any good arguments? And it kind of builds from there. And so the joke is they come to me, they say, I'm depressed, I'm miserable, why shouldn't I kill myself? And I'm like, you'll go to hell. And so the joke, and they like this joke, but it's too mean right now, is I think I finally understood Christianity. Because when I was a kid, I always wondered, like, why does hell have to be such a dark and scary place? And I realized I needed to create something that was worse than my friend's life. Oh. Mm-hmm. And it's and they love it. They love it. But it is to the regular viewer.
Your friend loves it.
My friend loves it.
Right.
So this is a friend that I call them once a week, and I run like a lot of new jokes by them. We've been doing it for 10 years. And now they want to kill themselves. That's another joke. Now that joke works.
Right.
But I want to build. I just love the idea of like, because it's also, I think it's true to a degree, where why does hell have to be so bad?
Yeah.
Because you need to say
It's worse than anything you could imagine.
You can't. And I imagine that was the thing.
Can I pitch you some stuff?
Please, I'd love it.
Some specifics about like why hell is worse than his life, and it's something like this is terrible. This is the bad version, but
Please.
it's an Xbox 360 instead of an Xbox S or something. Or like
Sure.
Or like hell is a place where I pitch him twice a week with my jokes or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
bring it back to
something-
the jokes.
Yeah, that's good.
Or it's like it's like everything it is. Your life is now, but you're on fire too.
Yeah. I bet you jokes and you're burning for eternity.
Yeah, it's a big old chunk. And let me tell you, when I do it for not like fans, it can bomb.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Walkouts?
Well, I remember I taped something like when I first started stand up, like 6 months in. I was overflowing with
A
ideas.
full hour special.
A full hour special that Russell was at. Famously, Russell went to the bathroom in the middle of the one taping. But at some
I was in
point,
the back row.
Wait, you're not joking? You taped a long thing?
yeah, it was one of those.
I said the craziest possible thing you could do 6 months in.
No, but it was like
was it 6 months in?
It was like 6 months in, but it was like it was kind of more like a one-man showish.
Yes,
it was more from my theater. It was the
Yes.
transition between theater into stand-up.
Theater kid.
Yeah. And I had a suicide joke there too. I think honestly one that I still use, one of the few things that survived that hour, ironically. And someone in the audience in the taping yelled out, "Suicide jokes aren't funny."
Did they? How many tapings did you do? I was at one of them.
Just one. This was
Really?
before I had the big bucks to do.
This was before Heckler. I mean, this was before
crowdwork videos.
Before crowdwork.
I was
videos.
like,
So
I was
it was
like, turn the cameras off.
2016. Yeah.
So in the middle of this, Russell stood up and said,
I said
suicide jokes are funny.
jokes are not funny. And I left.
And then he went to go pee at the same time.
And where's the bathroom?
I think Jessica peed too. I feel like we did it together. I think it was one of the situations. No, we didn't pee together, but it was one of the situations. I remember things. We got there on time, but then we started much later. So we weren't, it was a nice thing. You like had like an open bar and stuff, so people were drinking, having fun. But then it was like, oh shit, like we haven't gone to the bathroom in like 2 hours. I remember.
But we never released it because Russell fucked up the shot, and this is the downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside. You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
Welcome to The Downside. My name's Gianmarco Soresi. This is a podcast where we celebrate the negative. We complain, we can fetch. we don't have to be positive. We can whine about our lives, the things we should be thankful for. The last thing I want to say about the special, it was called Infinite Bliss. There's all these signs of like this is early comedian. And I think the joke was that I hit, which is now like it's an internet meme, I think, of like Wolverine getting circumcised and it keeps recovering. Like every time he's circumcised, the foreskin grows back. So it's the idea of an infinite.
That's the plot of
so
Deadpool
weird.
and Wolverine.
I don't remember that joke. That's so weird.
Yeah, it wasn't. But also, it's a play off Infinite Bliss, which is a book I have not read.
Never heard of it.
Infinite Jest.
Infinite Jest.
Infinite Jest. Oh, yes.
That's how little I've read it. I haven't even gotten to the end of the title.
That's not even a...
I read Infinite. I dog-eared the front page.
It doesn't rhyme either, so it's not the best play on words.
Yeah, it does. Jest Briss.
If you're a fan of the show, do what our guest has done and join the Patreon. Patreon.com/downside. Chris Grace.
I was commenting before that I can't cancel now.
You really can't.
Notice
we
it.
will talk about
you
it.
You will get a message that's like, Chris Grace has canceled. This is
I think what we should do, because we do this thing, by the way, patrons, if you join patreon.com/downside, 2 bonus episodes every month, we have a scroll towards the end where we list all the patrons. And I think we should do something like add a graphic when someone's name, when they leave. We like fucking, or the Death Note. Have you ever heard that anime where they write the name in the Book of Death?
Yeah, Death Note is about a guy's Patreon and punishing people that aren't in it.
We like put a book of, and we put your name in the Book of Death.
Wow, yeah.
As a fuck you to people who already gave us like $50.
Yeah, and then you get a letter that's like, that was my uncle and he died and I had to unsubscribe him from everything.
Oh my
Thanks
God.
for shouting him out at the end of your episode.
Can you imagine they have to do that for? I mean, that's what if I ever have kids, I'll have to do. When
I had to do that with my
Unsubscribe
dad.
from Britannic. Really?
My dad, I was sort of in charge of his affairs when he died, and he would subscribe to like AOL, and like his credit cards were getting like recurring charges. Like he's still subscribed to AOL.
Oh my God.
What? I didn't even know AOL. He must have been the last subscriber.
Like AOL email, like
How much was he paying a month for that?
$19.99.
Oh my God!
Oh my
Gmail is free.
God.
That's right.
Same. It was his.
His street cred though.
Was he
to
still
have
doing
an
dial-up modem too with the whole thing?
No, I think he was only using it for email. Like it wasn't.
Those emails better have been important stuff.
Oh yeah, they were very important.
How many months went by before you found out?
Pretty quick because I was in charge of like closing up credit cards and getting statements and stuff like that.
Man.
But he had other things like I forget what they are, but like you just look at the credit cards going like, what is this $18.99 thing? What is this LifeLock thing or whatever? All sorts of.
What
things.
is the most embarrassing subscription that? I guess you don't have kids, it'll be me. When I have to unsubscribe you, Nicole's already died somehow. I'm in charge of your.
I don't feel like there's anything that I feel like I have some weird, like not weird, but like I have a couple of like I have a Canva thing through work, that I just then like expense. So
Brazzers doesn't charge.
Brazzers.
No,
I did a lump lifetime sum all up front.
A lifetime subscription to Brazzers.
When it was in alpha, you were early.
Yeah, I was early.
Wait, are
early
you saying
member.
Brazzers? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know Brazzers?
I'm gay, so I don't think that's a gay one, right?
It's I mean, I've done some digging.
I know it's a theme in this. I know it's a theme in the show that like the two of you aren't gay. I know.
Sure.
If someone who's never
That
seen
is
it,
a theme.
It's a theme that we're
Most people don't need to state it as a theme.
Desperately trying to tell people.
I mean, that's also the theme of like the Joe Rogan experiment too. Is
also, first of all, I'm into bears, and so one of the only reasons I went to see Titanic was I thought this one was going to be in it,
sorry.
and you weren't the day that I went to see it.
When did you go?
Well, we also went because we thought Nicole was going to. We're friends with Nicole.
Oh, nice.
And I texted her. I was like, "We're here to see Titanic," and she was like, "I left last week."
Oh.
And the woman who did it was great.
Yeah.
And the woman who did your part was great as well. But I'm also friends with Drew Drogi. I'd love to see him.
Oh,
do it
Drew's
as well.
great. Drew's so funny.
Can you? I feel like actually no. Let's do it first. What do you believe a bear is?
I mean, a lot of things. Bigger guy. Sometimes a beard. Like kind of like. I mean, me. But
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Yeah. Why?
What
Can it
what
be
do
the
you-
whole gamut age range? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend Sam Morrison
I know,
famously.
I'm very.
Oh,
I'm-
you think
I'm very-
like older?
So let me tell you, I did a gig with Sam Morrison in Edinburgh, and I went first, and I said, "I'm into bears. I had a partner who died. I have diabetes.
Oh my
blah, blah,
God.
blah." I said like 4 things, and he was like,
You did all-
"Are we the same person?" Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just saw his show out in L.A. Sugar Daddy. It was great.
May I ask, are you a bear?
How polite. May I inquire? Are you a bear, sir?
After Russell described it like this.
Yeah.
No,
I'd say
I was thinking like
historically, I have been categorized as a cub amongst the community.
Okay, what's a cub?
It's just like smaller.
you can go from being a bear to a cub if you lose a little weight.
Yes. Keep losing the weight, you become an otter. These are all real.
Now
Wait,
I
what does
think
that mean?
I'm
Like,
closer. I'm closer to otter.
Call you an otter or a wolf.
A wolf?
Yeah,
'Cause
I don't
I'm
know.
like- I feel like otters are a little shorter.
I don't think we should give him wolf. That sounds.
You think I'm an otter? An
What
otter's
is
like
wo-
got to be 5 foot something.
Oh, you mean because otter is shorter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you go wolf.
Okay.
What means that?
Excuse me.
What means that? Me.
Oh no, I don't see you. You don't ring wolf to me.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like spiritually like, hello, little girl, what's your rush?
Yeah.
I have played the wolf, to be fair.
Have you really?
It's
I
just,
have.
It's these are the behaviors that people are like, you're not gay? Because like just dropping into the woods in the middle of a.
Grandmother first. Okay. Let me. I think.
Was it then Miss Plush?
Then grandmother first, then Miss Plush
I think
or
it could-
Lush.
I think it's Plush because he's implying that Red is chubby.
Really?
Yeah, because
wait, grandmother first, then Miss Plush.
there's a part where he's like, Grandma's gonna be like all bones and stuff, and then
what a delectable couple. What a delectable couple. What a one brittle, one supple, one moment, my dear. We're going on.
No, keep going.
just so little girl, hug and hush. Well,
We
this
can break it to a duet. I think we should break into more duets, to be honest.
this headphone mic combination makes it like you really want to sing into it and like hear yourself. It's
Yeah.
it's very pleasing to
Yeah.
enjoy your own voice. Which yeah.
Okay. Bear, wolf, cub, otter, twink.
Sort of like, yeah.
Any more?
What's the difference between twink and twunk?
Twunk is like a more of a hunky twink.
Oh, there's muscle bear, muscle cub. Those are like the guys who go to work out. There's also like on a different dynamic. There's like daddy kind of stuff. Older, yeah.
Different type. Okay. Great. We should. Why don't we have terms?
We should get more terms.
Yeah.
What do we have?
The terms are available. The two of you just don't suck enough dick to get to them.
No, I mean like on straight. I mean like on straight.
Notice
we
I
like,
said enough.
straight people come. They go with dad bod. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Dad bod.
Yeah.
Doesn't even mean anything. No consistency.
Well, because I think that there's generally for straight guys, there's not straight men have resisted being like put into objectified categories. The whole idea of like I'm looking at you sexually, like bothers a lot of straight guys, even though they do it to women constantly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got terms.
Oh.
Yeah, you have terms for the women, right?
A lot of terms.
we?
Gal, bird. No, not like.
They're not like
Well,
categorized
we go
though by
legs,
like
Well, like
look
what,
at the
what
legs.
categories on browsers do you search?
MILF.
There's
That's
MILF.
it?
Yeah, there's MILF. But nothing. I don't know. It doesn't feel as creative.
Redhead.
Redhead. Yeah, it's redhead, brunette.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if they were
tits,
like-
ass. It's just like there's no creativity.
just
in
body
it.
parts.
It's just body parts.
There's no artistic flair to it at all. It's a
Right.
shoulder.
Yeah.
You're searching as if you were like serial killers, like
Yes. yes.
anatomically.
Very anatomical.
We could be shopping for chicken,
Yeah,
honestly.
breast, thigh. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it you ever go like? Does it ever feel like I'm not a bear? I'm a man.
I'm a whole human being.
I'm a full.
No, I never feel like that. Not in the sexual marketplace, Gianmarco. You got to brand yourself.
You met your partner in a bear group?
No. He and I met through friends of friends. In the old-fashioned way. We were just like friends of friends for like 10 or 12 years before we started dating, and he became interested in me because I did a good audition at Telsey Casting one time, and he was working there as a casting associate.
Oh,
really?
Because we're both like, if you're not talented, you could be the hottest guy in the world, and if I see you in a play and you're bad, I'm like, oh well.
Yeah.
Into you.
So
because I did a good audition in front of him, he was like, "Oh."
What was the audition?
It was for like an Apple commercial or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
did you get that part?
Did not. I got an Apple commercial much later,
Oh, good for you.
but not then.
Okay.
Which I'm still, because of the NDA, I'm still not allowed to talk about 4 years after I did it.
Like you can't.
You're not ever supposed to say that you were in it, like even though it aired and my face is on it.
It's been a long time since I had a commercial audition, but when you go in and they have you sign like that
Yeah.
thing before the audition, I'm like, I would challenge this in court and go, Your Honor, I'd represent myself. Your Honor, there's no way I could have been expected to read this. That's insane.
Yeah.
This is an insane proposition. You cannot hold this against me.
Yeah.
If you do this, I hope that brings the full force of a huge law firm against you, and you're defending yourself, and she's in the audience with like a $6 million law firm.
Can I share a story I heard? It's been so long since I've.
Listen.
I mean, I can bleep it. I'll bleep the name.
So I don't live here, so I can talk shit. You can't.
Listen.
Hey, you guys better stop right now.
If he doesn't book a commercial next year, it's over for him.
Right.
I'll probably bleep it, but let me tell this story. So there's all these stories about.
What are you bleeping? Her name or someone else's name?
Do you want to bring someone else in this? Let's
No.
pull up your recent auditions. Let's talk about all of them.
Okay.
So the story was this. First of all, put a roof over my head for a couple years.
Yeah.
She's the reason I got like 2 gigantic commercials that paid for my Fringe festival. You know, these commercials.
She bought these lights here.
This is the pod built. So the story is she's notorious for being very just intense and just a workaholic and getting shit done. And the story was she was pregnant, delivering one of her kids, and she was on the phone with an agent. And the legend goes, she said, let me push this thing out of me. I'll call you right back. And that's the story.
How did you hear that story? Who told
From
you
the
that?
from the obstetrician.
Agents are terrified of. They were terrified of her.
Yes,
They
they are.
did not want to piss her off at all.
I think they still are. I mean, is she still a thing here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know why we're fucking doing this.
I'll bleep it and no one will see it.
Okay.
You didn't say a single bad word. I've complimented. No,
Actually, there wasn't a bad story.
Badasses want to be complimented.
Well,
That's
also,
true, that's true.
Well, also, we're doing it because we don't audition for commercials here anymore.
But listen, me barely. I get a thing being like every 4 to 6 months saying, "Hey, are you available tomorrow?" And then I don't get that audition. So that's what we're looking at right now.
And it's like a football fan.
Yeah.
I just did
a lot of football
Yeah,
fans.
I just did one that was, and I actually genuinely wish I had gotten it. It was for Bud Light, and it was like neighbor. Actually, it's like in the category it said like lame neighbor.
Lame neighbor.
But the kicker of it was that Shane Gillis and Post Malone were going to show up at the end of it.
Oh yeah, I saw that
So,
commercial.
yeah,
Was
the
it
other
that?
day.
didn't get it.
Is that one though?
Oh, there is a Bud Light commercial
was a
with
good
Shane
Shane
Gillis
Gillis
one. I just saw this weekend.
Sure. Well, you were up for the one that Dylan Mulvaney ended up getting, and I mean, there could have been a whole different route if you had gotten that
Right.
role. I think Kamala would be president right now.
Oh, you're the reason she lost? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan Mulvaney was at Edinburgh this year in the
Really?
theater right next to mine. I never saw it, but apparently had an incredible show.
What was her show?
It was a original musical, I believe.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
Well, a big cast or one?
no, I think it was only maybe her, maybe a couple. It was very small.
Did you see it?
I did not see it. I didn't know you went to Fringe. When did you go to Fringe?
No, so I did the New York Fringe back when it was like
fuck that
right
shit.
on its final legs.
it's not real
I
Fringe.
want to go.
You should go to Edinburgh Fringe.
I want to
and
go for
you
a
should
week.
too.
Yeah.
I want to go for a week.
No, go for the whole thing.
I can't
Don't
go
be-
for the whole thing, Chris. I can't go for a month to a place.
Okay, I guess you don't want to create a European audience for yourself.
Listen, but It's first of all, I,
know,
don't think
it's-
my
I mean,
body can take it.
Well, no, I mean,
You've done it,
because
what, 12 times?
I've done it 12 times.
12 times. That's a year in Edinburgh.
So I understand that from your perspective, because you're giving up 4 weekends of work probably, and you would make so much more money doing that than doing Edinburgh.
And I don't think I could take it.
Yeah, you could. You give yourself 1 day off a week. What they call you for a Broadway show, and you're gonna be like, I can't do 8 a week.
Well, yes. Number one. Number two, believe you me, if I ever
Believe
get on
me, if
Broadway, it's going to be.
He could do his one-man show 8 times a week. You'd be fine.
No, it's not that. It's like it's the energy of those
Other
those
people getting
sidewalks.
attention.
Yes, that those sidewalks are narrow. You cannot walk past people on those sidewalks.
Oh,
you
in
got to
Edinburgh.
move
Right.
at the speed of
Not
whoever
like
is
the
the
not
slowest.
like the wide open ambling of Manhattan, where you can just stroll. You can take any old path you want here.
The bottom line is this: I don't have a one man show in me. That's not my style. I hear you can do stand up there. An hour tight strict show, it's just not my bag. I just want to do stand up and have it be a little bit different every night and move around. And I don't think the Edinburgh critics are into that jam. And I don't want to be in a month in a place where I got shitty reviewed when I don't need those reviews to have the thing that I do. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think you're wrong on most of that. I think, first of all, I think you do have a one-man theater show in you.
I don't. Here's my problem with the one man.
It's going to be when you finally say that you're gay.
Something bad will happen to
Maybe
you soon.
something bad will happen, and it'll be called "I Miss You,
gotcha.
Russell," and it's going to be a great piece.
Gotcha.
No,
It's going to be you have a partner who died. It'd be basically Sam's show.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
My thing with one man shows. And we can go straight. He has a phenomenal one-man show on Dropout. I'm allowed to lend you my password because that's the whole. That's the whole
great.
show.
Great.
Yeah, you could categorize mine as a one-man show.
Yes, I think my struggle with one-man shows is I am so allergic to conclusions.
Yes. Yeah, fair.
To me, like, and again, this is just because I do comedy. I'm saying to a non-comedy person, they don't have the same feeling. But I go right when the moment we hit a conclusion, I go bullshit. I go full shit or something like that. And
You're
so,
like, suicide jokes are funny. Where's the bathroom?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think like that's why I never have. Yeah, I could construct something out of the divorce, or I could construct something about relationships. But A of all, it doesn't feel like I have a story that is worthy of telling beyond. When I do stand up, I was trying to be as funny as I can possibly be and infuse myself into it. That's my only goal. Myself as funny as possible. When there's a one-person show, there's like, if there's a message or a thesis or a conclusion, I don't think I have one or one that's worthy of sharing. What, I'm cynical about life, what, there's no God, but we got to keep on trucking. Marriage is crazy, but maybe I'll get married anyway because you got a life. Or anything. And then I also think of the degree of being, to reiterate, a straight white man that
The mic like cut out on when you did that.
there is a degree where the play that I did at the Fringe was about like an ex, and it was meta, and I tried to make it interesting and unique. But at the end of the day, it's about a straight white guy who wants to get married but doesn't want to get married and miss their ex.
Right. I mean,
Who
I
gives
think,
a shit?
I feel like in theater we don't have enough straight white voices. So.
But that's what I mean. Don't you see? That's why I'm saying I'm not going to do that, Edinburgh, so we don't have to be burdened by.
So actually, I do agree with you. So especially if you've done one before and you didn't feel that like, oh, this is my genre, totally. The thing I would say that you're wrong about though is that there are tons of comedians at Edinburgh that just do a funny hour. Like the thing that you want to do where it's different every night, you absolutely could do that if you want. Like I saw Tig Notaro in Edinburgh. Tig Notaro did not have an ending for her show. Like at the end of like 3/4 of the way through the show, she would go, "Hey, you guys, I just want to let you know that I don't know how the show ends, and we're all going to decide together how it ends." And it was because I had friends who saw it on different nights. I was like, "How did it end when you saw it?" And the way when I saw it, she had. I mean, I'm not saying it ended well, but like she had only one guy stand up. She was like, "This has been the best person all night. Only you stand up and applaud, and then the show's going to end." And he stood up and applauded. And she left, and the show was over. And I asked my friend, totally different the next night when she did it. So like there's lots of people attacking their hour all sorts of different ways.
Sure.
So,
Listen,
but-
Tig's a badass.
Yeah.
Tig's. I would love for you to do a one-person show. I go to
I don't
Edinburgh.
want to do
Well,
that.
the other reason
I like having people.
this is the worst agent conversation. I would like it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to do that.
I like having people. I agree with you in the way of like, I don't have an idea for a one man thing. I don't have that's why I don't do stand up either. I don't have an
But
idea.
I'd write yours. Like I can think
I
of
have
Russell's
ideas.
life, and I'm like, oh, I'll write a one-person show.
Oh God. What is it?
You know what it is.
What?
I mean, it's kind
No,
of
let's
it's kind of
have you
like
say it.
I think it's a build off. It's like your childhood stuff. It's like the same thing that you talked about, like the pool T-shirt.
But I'm
like,
exploring that in something else. That's
yeah, you're going to do it with a cast, and it's going to require a budget of $1 million. What about you and a mic, and it's done?
No, I just don't. I don't think it doesn't interest me. Here's why it doesn't interest me. It's really hard for me to get the when I see a show that's happening with a one person. It's hard for me to want to go see that. So I don't like that feeling as an audience member. I want to I would be much more inclined to see a play. So
Yeah.
if I'm making something, I want to make something that I would be
Yeah,
more
yeah.
inclined to see.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
I will say though, the other reason both of you should go is because you are theater kids.
Yes.
And Fringe is the greatest place for a theater kid to go, even if you don't do a show. But if you're doing a cool show and then the other 20 hours of the day, you get to see the craziest things you've ever seen from 10 a.m. till 2 a.m. You go to see Stamptown at 1 a.m. in the morning,
Sure.
we love
and they
Stamptown.
fucking destroy the place or whatever. You
I
know?
took him to Stamptown.
Yeah, it's so fun.
But you know, like it's that.
Sure.
It is the kind of thing where, not that this matters, but you could have seen Stamptown like 4 years ago and come home and been the guy that's like, oh my god, I saw this crazy shit. You know, like
Yeah.
that theater kid vibe of like everybody's doing a play around
Yeah.
you, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then your friend is like, you should go see this thing where it's like it's not even a play. You go into this office and they've set up a cubicle for you to work, and you sit at a computer, and the play happens in the emails on the computer. Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of shit that like,
Yeah, but that's why I don't want
It's
to
very
go.
inspiring.
I think if I ever have an idea that's really kind of cool and inventive, that's when I'll do it. Because I think if I go and I'm just doing stand up and I go see a Natalie Palomita show, I'm gonna go. I'm not an artist. That's an artist. I'm gonna be miserable for a month.
I think that's a natural reaction to seeing her stuff anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like sometimes you see it and you're just like, well, what am I doing?
Where do you live when you're there? Like, how does that work?
So I go with a group called Baby Wants Candy, which is a musical improv.
Oh,
team
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that I've been
Yeah.
Going, I've been going with all 12 years that I've gone. I've done Baby Wants Candy.
Okay.
Oh.
So I live with them.
Cool.
And now because I'm producing my solo shows, I kind of split the cost with them. But I have the luxury of they are figuring out the housing. Housing is so expensive now.
Sure. So you're doing 2 shows a day?
No, I did a lot more than that. So the last 2
Jesus.
years, I did Baby Wants Candy, which is musical improv. I did Shamilton, which is same company, but it's a parody of Hamilton.
Yeah, I figured.
And then I did. I mean, it's no Infinite Bliss in terms of a play on words. And then I did my solo show. Both years, my solo show was at 1:40 p.m. And then last year, my friend, put it this way, I had a couple. This year, I had 5 days where I did 4 shows a day. And I have had a couple days in the last 3 years where I did 6 shows in one day, because when you're bringing your own show and somebody's like, hey, can you come do 5 minutes on this showcase show?
Of course.
So you do the show, then you hand out flyers for your show. Like
your
I
show.
said yes to every single one of those things.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's like you're doing your show, then you do the improv show, which ends at 9:45 p.m. And then you've said yes to this 11:30 p.m. showcase. And then you're doing that, and then you go to sleep and you wake up and do your show again at 1 p.m. the next day.
It sounds great. Can't wait to do it.
I mean, I
No,
think,
it does some,
well, I will say that I love that.
where there's a thing where, especially if you're doing 3 different shows, there's a thing where you're like feeling like I am an artist. I am doing, like, and it can
Sure.
be addictive. That thing of like, oh yeah.
So a lot of people will say like, how are you able to do that, or like whatever? And I'm like, if you had told me a while ago that I was going to do a bunch of shows in a day, and because the improv shows have a history there, they're well attended.
Yeah.
If these shows were like one year, I did a play that a friend wrote, wonderful play. we did it in a space that sat 288 people, and the average audience was 6 people. So that if my day was filled with that would be tough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the improv shows sell out 300 seats every single night. So
Sure.
like that's not hard for me. Like that an improv show is not difficult if there's an audience, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen someday.
Yeah.
Someday. If I was younger, I wish I'd done when I was, because I did those days. When I did an acting company in Philly, I've talked about it where we would get dressed up for the show and sometimes 0 people would come and we'd cancel. Or my dad came one night and he was the only one in the audience. My dad had to watch me in a slow motion drowning sequence and he was the only one in the
was the play?
audience. I mean, it was a self-concocted piece by a brilliant acting teacher who was just couldn't write for shit. And it was truly one of the worst things. Chris Chung from Slow Horses was in it, which I've been watching his show. It was brutal to slow motion die in front of my father. He was like, can we speed up the you dying part? Now your show that's on Dropout. Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson.
As
Scarlett Johansson. Great, was excellent.
Thank you.
And especially if you're like a Dropout fan, they feed their fans. The fact that you got to, does this ruin it if I say there was kind of a sequence?
No, I think if you were a hardcore Dropout fan, you've probably already heard about this.
Sure. There's just like you in a kind of existential crisis moment are participating in like all their other flagship shows. So it's just like it really played with the medium.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of that world, you really get to, they feed you.
Yeah, I think it's fine to say because if you are not a Dropout fan and not a Dropout subscriber, then when you watch the show, that sequence might be completely meaningless to you.
Yes.
Which is fine.
But you talk a lot in the piece about you went to North Carolina School of the Arts.
Yes.
A school I got into and I wish I had gone to. But when I went for a tour there, they were walking me around the classes. They wouldn't let you see the acting classes until you got in, which was insane because it's like that's what would have swayed me, I think.
Yeah.
But they're like,
It wouldn't have.
let me tell you, that's what swayed me for the other one. It was just one good teacher. It was just like if you see one good teacher,
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It wouldn't have swayed you.
Okay. So I just remember we were walking by this group and they were being talked to by a teacher, and this kid turned to me and he said,
What?
And I was like,
then he did do the thing over his hand, like there's on TikTok. They're like women go like that if they're being abused.
"Oh my god,
You know?
really?"
Yeah. There's a thing like if you pass in a supermarket and somebody goes like that, it's like help me kind of thing.
I think it's got to be a little more complicated than this, dear
It's
God.
something. There is some symbol that you can do. They did it to you at the.
But do you think that guy just was like someone who didn't want to compete with another
Wait,
student?
maybe he was your casting type, and he was
Maybe.
like,
Yeah, and he's just like, he's
Maybe.
like, I don't need more.
But like
competition.
it shook. I was what, a 17-year-old kid,
So fucked up.
and I think
That
it's a big
is.
reason. And when I called them to say I wasn't going to go there, the guy said to me, I said I was going to University of Miami for musical theater, and he said, you're making a big mistake, right? And I was like, yeah, sorry, and then I hung up the phone. And
that kid was Lucas Hedges, the one who gave you that.
yeah,
Famous alumni.
Really?
And, I don't know. He became sort of successful.
Yeah, I've heard his name.
Lucas Hedges.
one of the things you
That's gonna kill in Winston-Salem when they watch this.
you mentioned some things that acting teachers said to you
Yes.
over the years. Would you mind sharing
Yes,
those?
a makeup teacher. So in freshman year, you have to take a how to do makeup class. Told me that I should get surgery on my eyes to have the folds like removed to make the eyes more apparent. And she said that in front of everybody in the class. That was what was annoying. And in the Dropout special, I don't say her name. When I do the show live, I say her name, Martha Ruskay. And because I'm like, fuck her. It's
Sure.
an awful thing to say to a 17-year-old child.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
You know?
You did say another teacher told you that you should go into vaudeville.
They did, yes.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You should get a time machine
Yeah.
first, and then
We were doing an acting class, and she is one of the beloved acting teachers there. By the way, yes. I mean, if you look at the context of my special, it's like I just basically say 2 shitty anecdotes about the school, and there are things I liked about the school. But she is like one of the beloved. If you'd seen her class, you might have been swayed because a lot of people are swayed by her. Like they love her as a teacher. And I don't. I've never loved her as a teacher. And I never say this when I meet other alumni because they're always like, oh my gosh, what about the wonderful and whatever. But we did an acting thing. And I guess I was too energetic or something. And she was just like, I don't know what you're doing. What you're doing is like vaudeville. And I was just like, well, I don't like. You're a bad teacher. You're someone supposed to tell me how to act.
Sure.
Why are you just criticizing the things I'm coming into the school with? Like, give me something else.
And those types of teachers, when you look at it as an adult, you're just like, oh, they're just flying by the seat of their pants. They're reading An Actor Prepares. They're reading Meisner. They're trying to come up with some kind of technique. They've been out of the industry for 25 years. They don't know what to do.
Well, and then at schools, they always. Did you go conservatory as well?
I got my MFA in acting.
Whoa.
Yeah. But
Wait, where'd you go?
University of Houston. It was like the only place that
I'm from
took
Houston.
me. Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was like the only place that took me, and they had like a deal. You know, they took 8 actors and they pay you, and it's so it was free. You know, and I got a stipend.
So in these circles, a lot of times those teachers that you're like, they haven't worked in a while, they'll be in the plays. You know, like when if you do Guys and Dolls, then they play Arvid and sing, like, you know, like there's an old character.
Yes.
And then you watch them and you're like, oh, you've been teaching me for
I know. You don't think, hopefully you don't see it too soon, but I remember seeing 2 teachers and you saw them in a play and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Although I do believe there's people out there who know how to teach and don't know how to do. They're different skills.
I think that there's just something. There's something. I feel so conflicted about it, but there is something that. So there was something. I'm sure when we were all there, so old school about the breaking down of people and like it feels like, especially in acting, that that's what they all learned how to do, was to make us scared and to make us feel bad, and I don't know if that did anything other than
the fear part of it.
Yeah, then like and also the you know, I got weird fucking comments for being fat. You know, you're constantly being bombarded with this thing of like they're acting like they've never, and also they're acting like you're welcome that we even accepted you, because like I remember someone kind of being the insinuation of like, we don't really usually allow bigger people into the program.
By the way, this is in Houston. They were telling you that?
Yeah, I mean,
Come on now.
I mean, there were like weird things.
What
like
would they say? Like, what do you mean?
Like, there was this feeling of like, this is a very physical program and blah blah blah, and like we're gonna be doing Suzuki and that kind of thing.
They're like,
and they knew
we're
that
not doing Big River, so
they
there's
knew
no
that
role
I played
for you this
football,
year.
so that was a positive. That they were like, oh, he played football, so he's enough of an athlete to like
sure
like walk on
Wait,
stage.
by the way, did you do Awesome 80s Prom?
I did, yeah.
Every fucking straight big guy that I know in New York City comedy adjacent has done. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I guess there's one part that a lot of y'all have done.
Yeah, there is Beef. His name's Beef. And actually, I was an understudy for a gay man that played the role. So careful.
I don't know if that was the phrase.
He was straight when he had the role. He came out after.
Wait, who's this?
Andy Arena.
Okay, I'll look him up.
I was roommates with him for a while. Great guy. He lives in LA now.
Awesome 80s was rough because you're playing different 80s stereotypes from movies.
Ah, gotcha.
And I'm pretty sure there was a
There was.
deeply offensive Asian
Yes, there
character
was, yeah.
in that was based off what movie?
Pretty in Pink, I'm sure.
Pretty
You
in
know?
Pink?
Right? Isn't that the one with the with the guy?
Yeah, with Getty Watanabe.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Does any of that matter anymore? Which is actually it's mentioned in the special, like where I'm like, is there a point to any of this? Because the current front runner for Best Picture uses the F slur for gay people as a joke in it.
Which one?
Honora.
I haven't seen it.
And I watched Deadpool and Wolverine on the plane out here, and they use the R word as a joke when Wesley Snipes says something. And it's like, neither one is like the biggest deal, but I'm like, did we just give up? Like, we don't really care about this stuff.
Okay. Well, I do have
As a comedian, I'm curious what you think.
Sure. I think my thoughts are a lot of that stuff is like superficial in nature, in terms of it gives the appearance of change and it doesn't actually make that change. And I think like this election, whether it was just like symbolic or just a very like front representation of, oh, nothing's changed. And you really like feel it. I think that's the same thing where it comes with the R word or the F word, where my point of view has always been like, whatever my nuanced comedic thoughts, I go, okay, I won't say these things, even if I think I just go, okay. But you see, it's not changing, and I feel like this year for sure,
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter, or you feel the resurgence of it, and you have enough folks like Shane Gillis on SNL doing it, and then like it's just like, well, there really is a thing. Once enough people say it, people go, well, it's done. It's very easy for that to fall apart. Yeah. I think the only one that we've seen sustained for a really long amount of time is the N-word. And I think there's a degree of like, you might get punched in the fucking face.
Yeah.
And even that, like some comedians, but that seems pretty solid for
that
now.
One, I mean, I put on the new Kendrick and I'm like, am I supposed to be listening to this?
Sure. Sometimes I was playing it like as a spin class and it's me and 20 white women.
I don't like,
crazy.
I don't like when people put like a Kendrick track on their like TikTok. And and I'm like, but you shouldn't be. I know you're not saying it, but it's under your TikTok.
No, yeah.
I just think that battle doesn't do anything, and it's like people can. I think everyone has their own artistic choices.
Yeah,
and
I'm really torn because I feel like we've been bending ourselves backwards to like follow all the. If you think about how many, whenever you're speaking in a public space, if you think about how many rules are in your head. About like what you should be saying, how you should be phrasing things, who's like the way you address somebody should be right, and then Trump wins, and you just look at how free their fucking stupid brains are.
Sure,
where they're just like, I'll fucking say anything I want.
Yeah,
and by the way, we won, and it's like, oh my god,
and the popular vote.
Yeah,
I mean, at least I think where I get frustrated, and this is where I feel it with a lot of. Liberal, leftist, whatever chamber I go.
A lot of faggots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The seal's been broken. Now we can just say it all the time.
And this is where I come at it as a comedian. I go, if you're not funny or you're not cool, you're annoying. And if you're annoying or you come off like the cops or the language police, whether you yourself decide what you want to do, if you become the language police, you are the police, you are the nerdy one in the classroom saying, don't do that. And that person doesn't sway hearts and minds. They can cultivate a group and they can self-enforce and oftentimes I think sometimes eat their own, but ultimately you just annoy people at a certain point. And if you're not selective and consistent, you ultimately just come off as annoying and you lose people. And ultimately, if the goal is to win, and I mean win, when I say win, I mean sway hearts and minds, shift culture on a grand scheme. You have to pick your battles, and those battles are the easier ones to pick because you can go, oh, bad, you said that, bad, you said that, as opposed to
you can keep
here's
score.
Something systemic that is bad. Here's something economic that's bad. And I think that's where I go, this battle just makes people who are on the fence or who feel a little bit, enough that you just repel them away and you don't enforce any change.
Yeah.
That's where I'm feeling fully cynical about it.
Yeah. Because I guess the question is, if you don't do that battle, do you do the systemic battle? Because sometimes the systemic is too big for a person to address, so they can do the little thing.
But I think the little thing does nothing.
Does
ultimately.
nothing.
I think,
and you're even saying it might alienate. Yeah, I knew you were moderate.
Sure. I mean, in terms of like language stuff, I always think about it. I think about with comedy especially because it's such a language-based medium.
By the way, I mean, this came up in my special as well.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Do you want to share?
Yeah, I said normally the first version of the special, I said the N-word every other sentence, just out of context.
Oh my
And
god!
let me tell you, it was no offense, it was better.
Killed.
I loved how they played Kendrick on the way out.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
That's right. So there's a chunk early on where I'm describing a film that Scarlett Johansson was in called North. And there's a scene in it where she goes to Alaska. And I used a word to refer to the Inuit family that she meets in the special that I didn't know was offensive, starting with the letter E.
Yes.
And so after the special came out, I was informed by social media that it was offensive. But also weirdly, the same week, the same word was used on a different Dropout show, literally like the same week. So I emailed them to just, I was like, it's already been released, but I don't care. Like, can we cut it out? And I was like, I think it's been shot in a way that we could cleanly slice the word out of, and the sentence structure won't be whatever. And then I put up and then Dropout agreed to do that, and they put out a statement, and they donated money to I believe some like Inuit family relief charity.
Sure.
And I put out like a little statement that was just, it was funny because I feel very glad people received the statement that I put out in a positive way, and they were like, "Oh, this is how these statements should always be." In all candor, I spent like 10 minutes writing it.
Oh, yeah?
And the statement was just like, hey, I didn't know this was a slur. Then people told me it was a slur. I don't care enough about this word in this joke to keep it. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
if I felt that I really needed to use this word to hit the punchline, then I would be like, you know what? I'm owning it. Sorry you're offended, but I want to use this word. But I was just like, I don't care at all.
Yeah.
So like, why do I want someone? And I will say that I was getting messages from people that were genuinely of that group.
Yes.
I was there. There were some people that were like white people being like, "Hey, you're not supposed to use it." But there were some people that were generally like, "Hey, I live in Alaska. This is a term that was put upon us by colonizers, and
Sure.
it represents a certain thing to us." So that felt genuine to me, and so I was just like, "I don't care, change it." Like this is such a not big deal to me. I don't feel like I'm losing anything by it.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I think for your judgment of that and your decision of that, and as you said, it was excisable. It didn't seem to be important to the final piece itself.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. I don't think there's any no part of that that I think fits in the world, I think, where it doesn't push people away. It's a personal.
Also, I can't live with the irony of like there's a racial slur in the middle of my special that's about racism.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah,
unless I just want to see it all as a cosmic joke and be like, you know what, that's actually the funny thing about this show.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
I think we definitely lived through an era, at least online. And again, so much of this I go, it's about the internet. It's about the internet and the inability to deal with anything. Like it's not even about like philosophically. It's just the internet cultivates a way that's non-functioning as a society.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think there was an era where it could have been like, fuck you. People would take that 3-second snippet and share it, and it would have 300,000 likes. Yeah. And I do think everyone's calmed down in general in terms of how mad or whether there is a dialogue available. But we certainly lived through an era where there was kind of collective, large, swift, big punishment that I do think made a lot of people go, I don't agree with this, but I'm not going to say anything because I'm scared. And ultimately, it kind of spread out to people going, fuck, stop.
So I do think that there is a power on the right where they're not couching, they're like voicing a lot of ugly things. And then your body is just like, yeah, I do feel that. Like, even though if it's wrong for me to feel that.
Sure.
There's a sort of like, like there's a, like a, not rage, but kind of like a bloodthirst to just be like, fuck immigrants or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's not that filtered level of like, I feel a certain way in private, but then in public discourse, I should behave a different way. Like, I don't think they have that. And so they get a certain power out of that because they're like, the way you actually feel, this is what I'm actually fucking saying.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know? Like, I think it was yesterday, but Biden pardoned Hunter, right? I think it's fucking hilarious.
Sure.
Like, to me, I'm just like, fuck the civility and the rules of like, well, you shouldn't do this because it's your son or whatever. You think they would bat an eye for 1 second pardoning the children of people? Like, they wouldn't.
Of course.
Like, I'm just like, fucking pardon everybody.
Sure, and I just go. I think in terms of the buying thing, I go. Society has we fractured so much in so many different things. Like in terms of when I think about Palestine, I go. You think I give a fuck about his son being pardoned? Like that's not what I'm mad at the administration.
He should pardon Netanyahu.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. I mean, in a way, they have.
By the way, Kendrick also used the same word that I used in the new album.
Oh, did he?
On the first track of the new album, and I was like, I've been telling people I'm just like Kendrick Lamar.
Well, every time you listen to an Eminem song and he says maggot, you're like,
oh no,
there's only so many rhymes. No.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you really think in terms of if the I think my goal is change. Is change possible? Is mild cultural growth possible?
And I do, and I also think that I would say too is there are times where it is on you to be like, because we've had moments I know in sketches and things, for instance, in the past where I've had moments of like, this is actually crazy that in 2014 or whatever, 2015 that. Like you look at something, you're like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore for multiple reasons. Not just because I'm worried about getting in trouble, but because it's like, that's not funny to me anymore. It's clear that's coming from someone's brain that was like, I know what will get a laugh in this moment if I just use this thing as a quick like shock punchline.
But your Indian businessman kills. Well, every show.
No,
yeah. I
no,
mean,
but I've also had things where you're like, no, I do feel like I did Titanic, and every once in a while there was that thing of people being like, man in a dress is never funny, and I'd be like, first of all, I was wearing pants the whole time, but also, I thought about it for hours of like, is blah blah blah, but I really was
I
like,
like you painted hours as like a big struggle.
that's a long time to think about it.
It's the most he's ever thought about anything.
Days, I don't know.
Or to me, I thought it was funny the idea of you just in a room alone going like, No,
it'd always be on the
This is
train.
okay.
I'd read a comment.
But I'll tell you,
like,
that's where it's more personal to me. Where I go, certainly with Russell, I go, this man was born to play women on stage in like a campy, cartoonish way, and I think the way that's more personal. I mean, back to the whole the jokes about are they gay or not. There's a degree where I'm like, if Russell wants to play a woman and has that thing and does it like with artistic integrity and respect to the craft as trying to make something great, I go, there is a segment of the liberal world that would, in certain circumstances, go, no.
I think in that context, I would say if that's what Marla wants to do, or if that's what the creators want to do,
yeah,
it was conceived that way from the beginning, right?
yeah.
So then, and also
Not me, but
right,
but a man.
they wrote the show around you, right?
Yeah.
But also, there's other women in the show.
Yes.
So it's not like
They were a drag role,
Yeah. I will say that, and this is something I wouldn't. Did you ever watch something like even we talked Nora, let's say? When I saw Nora, I was like, I want to ask like 100 women what they think about this movie, because I feel like it's kind of trash, but like I don't know, maybe it's not. And so with this kind of question, like right before I moved out of New York in like 2014 or 13, Mark Rylance brought 12th Night and Richard III here, all male cast. And it was incredible. Like both shows were incredible.
Yeah.
Stephen Fry was in one of the 12th Night. He was Malvolio. So, and it was great. At the same time, like a year later, I saw Richard III in London with Martin Freeman and women playing, the women in it. And I was like, oh, this is very different. And there was moments in the all male cast one where like they would get laughs because they were playing a woman, and I was like, what is this laugh? Like, what is this laugh that we're getting right now?
Sure.
Because it was kind of like, oh, isn't it? I'm a lady. And it's like, okay. Now I'm watching a play with no women in it. Like, that doesn't seem that cool.
But, But do you,
to say that it might be each individual specific context, which
For
is
sure.
which is hard to talk about on the internet.
Yes,
of course.
Yeah.
But sometimes what I loved about your show, I mean, the moment where I go, okay, this is a more honest telling than a preachy. There could be a preachier version of your show.
Yeah.
Is when you reflected on things that you had done in your own life.
Yeah.
And that might have been insensitive or not taken into consideration the bigger picture.
Yeah, and hypocritical.
And there's times I go, man, you're looking to if you're looking to Hollywood, if you're looking to the arts, if you're looking to this thing that is like brutally competitive, underfunded, huge celebrities, nobody's getting paid. If you're looking at this system to be the leader of morality, of equality, you're nuts. Because there's going to be a lot of actions taken that are like superficial. There's going to be a lot of things like, and it's just like this is a game filled with people looking out for number one.
Yeah. If you want show business to represent like a platonic meritocracy,
Sure.
then you're in trouble.
Can you share some of the things that you said where you were like, look what I did?
Yeah, well, I didn't quite say it like that.
Now you say bad things that you did.
Yeah. Now is that a thing in the pocket? We each going to say ways that we supported
sure.
white supremacy?
Yeah.
Sure. That's our new segment.
How did you support white
Play
supremacy?
the new Douglas jingle. How you supported white supremacy.
You know what? I will say that in a second. But to this earlier question you had, I actually don't know. This is relevant to you not thinking of an idea for your one-person show, which is that I actually don't know if any words that I say in the show matter that much. Or, like I didn't say this word or I did say this word. I think for me, I've always felt that just by like being up there for an hour and being funny or trying to act genuine moments, just being a human being in front of people and saying like, hey, this shit really bothered me. Here's why. Also, here's some shit that I did that made it worse. That is the political part to me. Like you seeing me for an hour doing it.
Yes.
I think that's more effective than at the end I say, by the way, don't be racist,
Sure.
So like the things that I bring up in the show is that like I ended up producing a show and I cast it myself and it had 6 actors and the show was 6 white actors. This was at the Orlando Fringe. And it was like, there was no one else. My husband was helping me direct it too, but like I could have picked different people.
Sure.
And it is a thing where, and I know people get in this thing where just like, yeah, well, I'm picking between these 2 people. I just think this one's funnier. And then you look at the cast, that's 6 white people. So like, that was a chance for me to like amplify some people of color and I didn't. And it's in Orlando. Like there's, like there is a legit reason, which is like we got submissions, and there genuinely weren't many people of color that auditioned for it, right?
Sure.
But the thing I would say, like I could argue with myself about that all day because I would just be like, well, then you should have done more outreach for it, or you shouldn't have done that show, or whatever,
Yeah.
Someone just brought up the ensembles for Elf on Broadway. Compared to Sacramento. They're both running productions of Elf right now. And on TikTok, people put a shot of the cast for Sacramento versus Broadway. And the cast for Sacramento, the entire ensemble is white. And
in Sacramento?
In Sacramento.
Oh, I was like, on Broadway?
I'm not. And that would be something I would call out and be like, that's bullshit. But I also didn't do it when I had the shot,
Sure.
So, but I do think that like representing myself as like a more complex, hypocritical person is hopefully actually more like conducive to change.
Sure.
Than just being like, if I didn't mention that at all and been like,
I think it's very helpful because I do think that like in terms of like that thing of feeling like I do think it ostracizes people when they feel like it's just a scolding thing rather than we actually all. Not all, because it's like, and there's levels of things.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a thing of like, I think it is helpful to hear that kind of thing.
I was thinking like walking around in New York this week. I was like, that thing where they do a feature on like Gianmarco's day doing stand up, and it'll be like, I get up at 9 and I go to my favorite coffee shop around the corner and then from 10 to 12 I sit down and I write jokes, and from 12 to 9 I call my friend who's suicidal, blah blah blah, right? And then at 8 o'clock I go to the cellar, and if you're trying to be a stand-up, you like tear that out of the magazine and you tape it up on the wall and you're like, I gotta do this. This is what he does. I gotta do too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was probably one bullshit day where journalists followed you around and you made sure that day you appeared productive.
From 2 to 3 soup kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
From 2 to 3, I looked at the mean comments on
Yeah.
Instagram.
And then the next day,
And
you
said-
slept
and-
until 3 p.m. and didn't do shit.
Yeah.
you know?
Sure.
Like, how much of lies are we giving to each other about
Yeah.
well, as a writer, I've got to sit down at the desk every day, otherwise my novel never gets written or whatever. It's all bullshit. I'm in a space right now, which is after the Trump election, I don't really know how to proceed in the world.
Yeah.
Sure.
A lot of the things we thought worked don't. So I
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's an internet reality too, of not really conceiving of the world as it is and more the echo chamber that we're surrounded by. I think one of the nice things about touring,
I thought you were going to be one of the nice things about Trump winning.
one of the nice things about touring though, and even with me, it's I go to places and it's people who are fans, so it is an echo chamber to a degree. But I still go to some cities and it's a mix, and it's just a real reminder. I mean, you grew up in Houston. I grew up in DC, and so I always kind of lived in a very specific bubble. But surely, growing up in Texas, you must, know the world.
Well, also,
America.
that's also why I think if you're a person of color or gay or whatever, marginalized, I grew up in Texas. So the feeling where the election happens and it doesn't go the way you want it, I'm I've had that feeling many times in my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it is kind of it was annoying after 2016 and this election where a lot of white people on my social media feeds would be like, well, that's it, I give up. Blah blah blah, and I'm
Yeah.
because you lost twice now. That's 2 elections that didn't go your. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But you also, if you're a straight white guy, I'm sorry, but you don't get to give up because
Sure.
you're still closer to fixing this stuff than we can't. We actually really can't. If you were a marginalized person, you don't have enough power to the white
Yeah.
people have to help.
Yeah, no.
Sure.
Actually, for the white people, it's I almost feel we have to clarify how white supremacy hurts you too. It does help in some ways, but it also hurts you in a lot of ways as well. Just the same way misogyny hurts men. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so you need men to dismantle it, but there's also a lot of little advantages along the way that are hard to give up. I guess
There's one clip I loved it on. I feel like it was probably a Jubilee thing. Which
those
which
are so
we had
great.
But we had a host who talked about the problem with Jubilee, and it did make
watched it,
sense.
yeah,
It really did make sense. But it was occasionally there's these moments where it was liberal parents versus conservative kids or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And the guy was saying we have to go to war, blah 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 blah, and so you don't support the patriarchy, but we're the ones who have to do this thing. And she was like, well, who made it that you had to go do that thing where you go to war? It's the pay. It was just a really
Yes.
nice depiction of the things that you think you have to bear are because you're a victim of the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think there's a lot of men that they look back at the old world, during wartime, and they kind of want the benefits that were bestowed upon
Yes.
people who went to war. And it's okay, but you're not going to war anymore, and you still want to have
Yeah.
and I know as someone who if we need to install an air conditioner, it's a 50-50 Miratova doing it.
Yeah.
I'm aware of my lack of contribution in traditional masculine things.
Right.
And that's why there's other traditional things that I can't just reap
if-
the benefits of.
What if we gave you the benefits, but we amputate one of your limbs?
Yeah.
Or what? I'll give you a benefit, but you have to walk through a minefield. And if you
Sure.
make it out the other side, you get the benefits.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Maybe I do it for a good dinner.
To have someone else install air conditioners for you.
Yes. Now, before we go on to our next segment, I do want to talk about Russell was supposed to be part of our game night last night.
I'm so sorry.
And he messed up a travel. Do you know what I have on my leg right now? This is Tova's contacts. She leaves her fucking contacts
what?
everywhere. She just puts them on the floor.
have dailies?
And then I go, what is this? And it's a contact stuck to my goddamn leg.
What do you mean she puts them on the floor?
She just like when she takes them out, she just puts them anywhere. And I was just like, what is this weird blue scab? And it's one of her fucking contacts. And I always get so much shit about being messy, and yet these fucking things are everywhere.
Are you the messier one?
Oh, big time.
That's genuinely surprised. I guess you aren't gay.
I've gotten.
You should have seen. Well, I mean, I haven't been to your place lately, but you should have seen how it used to be.
Where, in Harlem?
No, your apartment that you have now.
That's surprising
When it
to
was
me.
the studio.
Sure.
It was.
Well, if I had Nicole coming over cleaning up the whole
I
goddamn
clean
place.
too. I'm not as clean, but
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. So you're in your traditional male role. Oh, you guys are the bros
you know-
watching the game.
Do you know Dragon Ball Z? Do you know Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
How they fuse?
Yes.
If Russell and I fused, we'd be a gay man.
I mean,
We have parts.
but that's also how gay works anyway.
Yeah,
It's two
yeah,
guys
yeah.
fusing together and becoming one.
If you saw me and Russell having sex, we would be gay.
Dude, if I put my dick in your ass, we'd both be gay.
We'd both be gay. That would be funny. That would be so funny if that's how the Dragon Ball Z characters had to fuse.
No.
Like in
sex.
Dragon Ball, they either have to do a dance, which I guess is a little gay, or they have to put on earrings. I guess both gay things if you think about it. But Dragon Ball Z, that's how they fuse. They either put on like matching earrings and then they, or they do a dance. But if they instead, if Vegeta and Goku, like they're like,
Are they all
we
male-
gotta beat Badge and we gotta beat Frieza.
Are they all male characters?
In
Dragon
Dragon
Ball
Ball Z? I mean, later they had more like women Saiyans, but like most of the main battles in
Right.
Dragon Ball Z are
okay.
dudes.
But the women are men in dresses.
So like the Mark
so.
Rylance casting. Yeah.
Same thought.
Yeah. Chi-Chi's strong.
So the game night happened because I pitched it to you because we worked on a project we're not allowed to talk about. When I saw you there, I
Yeah.
pitched you the game night because I had just heard how Russell is not into game nights. And I'm like, there's no way you'd not be into this game.
Oh, let me tell you something. I said to Tova the second we left, I said, I know one thing for sure. Russell would have hated that.
Really?
I
do you
had a
think
great time.
Why do
Really?
you? Why do you think I would enjoy it? Why do you think I would not enjoy it?
I have not. I mean, do you think of yourself as a theater kid?
I do.
I have not met a theater kid who hates this game.
But he's a different kind of theater kid.
I thought actually because I saw your thing this morning that you tagged me in, and I really tried to think what makes it that I don't like games,
So
and I had three kind of thoughts.
So okay, I think so. The game we played was called Blood on the Watchtower.
Blood on the Clock Tower.
Blood on the Clock Tower. I had so much fun. I had so much fun. I've always wanted to do a game night. I've never had the space to have company over. I've never really thrown parties. I'm a loser, and thank God with Tova's help and Courtney, my assistant, we set up at Ripley Greer. I didn't like even doing that. I was like, I didn't know how big. I thought it'd be like Ripley Greer. It would be wrong. It'd be the wrong
it's great.
vibe. And ultimately, the thing survived because you. I said to Tova, I said, if you had said to me after like. So you just Venmo me $200. I'd be like, yeah, because you led. I mean, he led the night. He's running the show.
Yeah.
He's keeping the whole thing going.
Well,
I mean, it truly is a job.
And it makes a space for you to just have fun, which is what it's you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but it means it's a gift, and I feel like it's like many things in life. I'm like, oh yeah, you just had to do it, and now I know what I would do differently, and what snacks I'd get, and what snacks I wouldn't, and now I really want to do game nights.
Yeah.
In general.
So wait, but why do you think he would have hated it?
So first of all, when Russell likes to chill. Russell likes to chill. He likes to talk, drink. We chill. Just vibe. Music. That's just like that's number one. Second, I don't think this game was complicated as fuck. This was so complicated. I question if I'm even smart enough to play it
Wait,
strategically.
you pulled off an insane play at the end of it.
You helped me. There was chaos.
Yeah.
I made a move that shouldn't make sense.
She would not.
That shouldn't make
When
sense
you did
at
it, I
all.
was like, "There's no way this makes any sense.
Doesn't make any
to
sense.
anyone."
And you, because I think part of it is like, as the game master,
Storyteller,
you lean into the like, let's ride it. You
Well,
could have
I
been
mean-
like, well, there's no point.
No, I would never say that. Yeah.
So basically, there was like a move where we were about to
their
lose.
team had their team, by all rights, had lost.
Uh-huh.
Gianmarco made a move that makes no sense. But as the storyteller, I would never actually say like this is futile. I would say like we're going to honor Gianmarco's request. We're going to run it anyway. There's a voting element involved. It makes like literally everyone. It makes no sense for you to vote on this. I can't imagine why you would want to. I don't say any of that. We just run the vote, and for some reason, people voted.
One person raised their hand and it was over. I lived in the chaos. But so it's extremely complicated. There's a lot of rules. And I think Russell you go, why? Why would we even why? Okay. Let's just sit
So
and chill.
can I just say what I'm hearing is that you just like to sit around like a lump. And if something takes brains, you ain't good enough for it.
Yeah.
What'd that mean?
Okay. I will say, for free time, I do feel like I love watching things. I love watching things and engaging. Like I love a story, but in terms of participation, if it's not on stage and I'm not acting in something, it feels like a hard line for me. Where, the three things I was gonna say in terms of like what games and things like that. One, I really feel like something shut off in me in grad school where I was like, I never want to be in school again. And sometimes I associate the feeling of like learning a game or like being in a structured thing like that as like school. And it's like, it reminds me of like an improv class or something. I was like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. I don't want to be at school right now. I want to I'd want to, and usually you're like with people, you're like, I want to see these people and I want to hear about them and hear interesting things about their lives. But this structure of us having to be forced to do this thing that doesn't feel natural, that's where I just feel like it does bring me to an existential place of like, why are we doing this? What are we doing? What are we doing this for?
And then we're like, your turn in charades is over. God damn it, Riley. You just have been the
You're playing
character.
celebrity. You're like, I guess Kevin Costner. I don't know.
No, those dumb ones like that are the ones that I guess I could like. I'm like, okay, I know the rules to that already. It's already grandfathered in. But I think so. There's a thing, and also there's I really don't like competition. I was thinking of that too. I there's competition in what we do a little bit, but it's not as binary as like a game where you're like, you win, you lose.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking of like this past week, traveling for Thanksgiving and you're at, families' houses and there's football on all the time. And I played football, but I really, and I can watch it and kind of enjoy it. You can get like addicted to like that feeling of like the this team's winning and blah blah blah. But there's something so stressful to me about competition when it's in a binary way of like win lose kind of thing. Like I was watching this game the Bears had and the Bears lost, and it was totally the coach's fault. Like at the end of the game there was like 35 40.
Is this why like on my social media I literally saw like 10 tweets that were like clock management?
Yes. So basically he didn't call a timeout and they ran out of time and it's just an insane thing that should never have happened.
Right.
And everyone in the room with us is like well, he shouldn't even get on the plane when he's gone. He's gone. And so everyone's like that. And I'm like, I understand that. Yeah, he fucked up. And I think he's probably been fucking up all season. But my brain is like, this was Thanksgiving. This guy's family's all together. There got to be so much shame and embarrassment happening to this man. So I start thinking about this guy and his mother being so proud. He got the job as the Bears coach, and now it's Thanksgiving and he's losing his job. He did lose his job the next day. He lost his job, and I'm like, this poor family.
God.
And he could be the worst guy in the world, but my brain has filled it in that this is a family tragedy. And I'm thinking about his mom, who was so proud of him probably the day he became the Chicago Bears coach, and that's all I'm thinking about in terms. So I think like there's.
What if his mom was like, "You're gonna fail"? I never believed in you.
Anyways, all that stuff comes up with competition things where I'm like, it stresses me out a little bit.
Yes.
Anyways, and I know it doesn't matter. It's not real. It's not like a real thing. But
Yeah. Okay, so that's why you don't like games.
Yeah.
I think if I'm ever single again, I wish I had gotten into games when I was younger, because I need that to meet people. I need that to I need that extra thing or that shared objective or that sense of play. I feel myself come alive. I feel just comfortable. Like I really could see that's how I could interact with people.
100%. So the reason I love this game is I have been at my friend's house when we play this game, and I can play Blood on the Clock Tower. I can literally play it for like 8 hours if we wanted to, right? If I run it or someone else wants to run it. I then was at a party at my same friend's house that was just a party, and like in 20 minutes I was like, I want to go.
Yeah.
Because I am not good at hanging out at the party. I go stand by the chips and I get to go out and, hey, how you been? Oh, what happened to that thing you were working on?
And Russell's good at that.
Yeah, so if you're
See,
good at that.
I don't know if I'm good at it. I think I move around a lot. I think I move. I think when I find myself in things that aren't working, I try to find something that is working. But I do feel like there's a freedom of like, okay, I'm not trapped in something.
So the pitch I would make to you, because next time I come into town, or if we fly Russell out to LA,
I'm gonna play. I'm gonna listen. I want to be a team player too. I'm not saying. I don't want to be one of those people that is like, I won't do that. I hate that kind of thing too. So I want to be open to.
Think
an
about our
experience.
poor mothers when you don't play in this game.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
And my mother's dead. Think about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
okay.
The pitch I would make to you is that this game. I'm actually not super into like other games. I love this game specifically.
Really?
Yes. Because, and I think you probably enjoyed this too, is that it actually creates like a framework for everyone to be funny. Like,
Sure.
Like yesterday, it adds a little bit of stakes that are fake, that don't matter at all. Who's evil and who's not. And then you get to be like dramatic about like, you're fucking lying or whatever. And none of it matters. It's like the same reason you go on a roller coaster, because it's like, the other thing is that it's sort of someone described this game to me once as a gossip machine. Oh, basically, you have reasons to gossip about everybody else. Like, well, look at him over there. Like, look, why are the two of them talking right now? Like, they must be doing. And it's
So there's an acting component to it. Like
There's a bluffing component to it, and that's tough for me. I like bluffing. Like you get a role, but you're saying you're a different thing, a different creature.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
like I feel like everyone can tell I'm lying right now. Like I feel. I mean, it's incredible considering that like acting is the thing that I tried to do. I am humiliated and I get embarrassed when like Jacob, who was there, just went like, he's lying, and I'm like, and I would be nervous to play that game with like people who are really experienced. I think games are so tricky. You have to be a certain amount of good,
Right.
a certain amount of bad. Like Tova and I sometimes do crosswords together, but not often because Tova, it's not even like close. Tova destroys me. She gets it done if we do the crossword mini, she gets it done in 20 seconds. I'm doing 4 minutes and I give up. It's like games. It's so tricky. You really have to have a balance.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want Michael Jordan to play with your JV squad or whatever, you know.
And I do think that in like if I was having a bad game night, it would be a game where I felt like I'm an idiot.
Yeah, it just depends on if you played with veterans, it just depends on how cool they are with new
But
people.
Dungeons and Dragons is a little more story-esque. You're not like, oh, you're the best Dungeons and Dragons.
No. Dungeons and Dragons would be more about like how Dungeons and Dragons is more like improv.
I got to do it once. I'm dying to do it once.
I will say that this game, I've been playing this game a little more than a year, and I have not experienced this as an adult. I have been able to make adult friends through this game.
Wow.
So in the year that I've been playing this game, I genuinely have like 20 new friends from this game. Like friends that like when I went to London, I played with them online, and I saw them in London, and like it was like, oh, we are like friends now because of this game. And so I think it is like weirdly special because of it.
I was picturing you like them meeting you up in London, and you're like meeting up with them, and then you just have to start playing the game. Like the only way you can have the relationship is if you play the game.
Well, that's not untrue. I mean, yes, no, we did have lunch and all that stuff.
Okay.
But it
You
is
also
a kind
played.
of thing. If at any point and one of us was like, you want to just play? We'd be like, yeah, okay, let's like so it's not
okay, yeah.
But I mean, we didn't play the game. We just went to Chinese lunch.
What if they think they're your friend, but they're actually poisoned?
I mean,
You don't get it. It's
I don't.
Yeah,
but I could put it together.
maybe you'd be really good at this
no,
game.
you know, at the same time, there are people I've met over this year of playing that I'm like, I fucking
Don't like
cannot
them.
stand you
'Cause of the
The
game.
way that you play, like the way you treated me in that game, I fucking
Okay,
despise
Jacob.
you.
But I'm nervous because
Yeah,
like
Tova was like,
what was I?
No, it's fine.
but it is an aggressive game, and I
Can
do.
be. Yeah, it
there's
can be.
times that I worry where I go like, I don't know if I'm being like the fun aggressive or like mean.
But
Were any of us last night?
No,
mean?
no. You guys were so far.
What's mean? Someone goes like, you're fucking.
Yeah. What's
lying.
the reason why someone that you've seen you'd be like, oh, I don't like that person?
It happens sometimes when two people know each other really well and they start to get very personal and angry with each other, but also people
I
that
wasn't there.
people that have played a lot of Werewolf, because it's very similar to Werewolf and Mafia, which I'm surprised you never played like in
I've
theater
heard
school.
Mafia.
So people can get very mean in those games.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like I ran it for friends of mine that only played like Werewolf, and like on the first day they're just like, he's fucking out, like screaming and stuff. And I'm just, when I was running the game, I was like, hey, this is not the way I want to run. Like, this is not the atmosphere I want this game to have. But I mean, I've just had, like, for example, there's the voting element. I've been in games where people like go, put up your hand. You need to put up your hand. We're going to lose if you don't put up your hand. And I was like, if you tell me how to vote, I will absolutely do the opposite of what you. I don't care if we lose. If you command me to do something, I will never do what you command me to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's just me being a little anti-authoritarian little brat.
I think we should do a game night. I think you should bring a game too. You bring a game that you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of something. I made me laugh when he was saying like people know each other too well. What I could say to like get under your skin, and the only thing I could think of was me being like, "Every old man voice you do is Scrooge."
Oh.
One time,
So you wouldn't be mean within the context of the game. You would just insult me for my lack of character abilities.
No, you have characters. But one time, I really hurt Gianmarco's feelings, and now I'm.
I don't have a lot of voices.
This isn't an Uncle Function thing?
Yeah, he was doing an old man, and it was in a sketch show where we also he was playing Scrooge, and I said something where I was like, "Oh, it's Scrooge again," and it really hurt his feelings.
That's tough. I mean, I got, like, my senior year of drama school, I got into fights with people where, like, things you thought about their acting that you hadn't said for 4 years got said, and it was just like, oh.
That's never good.
My favorite. There was someone freshman year. She really struggled with like what to do with her arms, and she was just. And so there was this one scene where like the teacher just gave her a sweater to hold, and I remember everyone was like,
"Wow,
that really fixed it." Like
did it?
really like. Well, yeah, because her arms were occupied. It wasn't anything at all.
Instructor gave her a
But like
straight
people
jacket.
were like, "Wow, that really." You should hold on to things more often in your scenes. Just always be holding on to a thing.
Do you have some people that listen that are like in drama school?
For sure.
I don't want to blow up anyone's spot, but there's this thing that a lot of performers do, especially in drama school, where they'll say lines, and this is all like in a play. It's just like bugs the hell out of me. But they'll be like, I mean, where are you going? Like you said you're going to be back by 5. They hit, and often both hands. Often they.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've watched you speak for the last month in rehearsal or whatever, and you have never, ever in real life done that. And I'm like, I don't, and it's endemic. Like a lot of people do it. And you're like, what is that? Like, what is that? I know the impulse is like, I'm an actor. I got to do something in this moment. And this is me feeling something or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're in drama school right now, ask yourself honestly, is that something you do? But I don't know what it is. I think we all have our things that like, my theory is a lot of the way at times we're like protecting ourselves from the audience, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
To be like, you can't say I'm not acting because I did this thing. Because I used to like always put my like hand on a chair, like no matter where it was. Like, yep, this is me.
One time I saw, this is nothing to do with anything, just thinking of a funny drama school memory. One time we were doing monologues for each other, and it was Shakespeare, and this guy was doing a Richard III monologue. And he was taking a really long time to like get into it. Like he was like walked up really slowly, and he's like prepping for a long time, and then he goes, "Now is the winter of our now is the winter of our discontent."
Oh,
he,
that's
like,
amazing.
He like prepped so long, started without the arm, the deformity or whatever, disability, and then started again, just throwing up that.
Here's my pitch to you for that guy. Start the monologue completely able-bodied and normal, and then like by the end, you
slowly
morphed
go into it.
Do you think, did he do it when did the line say to go?
No.
All right, let's go to our next segment.
This has gotta stop.
This has got to stop. Something needs to go away, come to an end, something that's annoying to you. Russell, you want to start?
Yeah, this has got to stop on airplanes when they tell you at the beginning this is a completely full flight. That's what it is. So I don't come on there and tell me that it's completely full. We already know. In fact, come on there and tell me when there's an empty seat. That's more interesting to me, that there's going to be any empty seats, because then I'd be like, oh, and then tell me how many, so I can know how much this airline is losing out on this flight. That will bring me some amount of joy, rather than, oh, shocking information. Oh, we're completely sold out. There's no room for our bags. I've never had a flight where that's all. It's just what the given is now. So don't tell me that information. We're just assuming that that's what it is, and we don't need to know.
I like it.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have this got to stop?
I have one big one, one little one.
Go for it. Do both.
The big one is men who are experts in one field thinking that they can then speak about any other field of expertise.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they are experts at brain neuroscience. And then they think they can speak about like security, Islamic terrorism and security. I'm talking about Sam Harris.
Sure.
You know, in general, just the guys that are just like, they go into some other field and they're like, you know what? Like I disrupted things by thinking in my field of creating circuits for the Apple II motherboard or whatever. That means that I think I could redo this PTA education system in my local county or whatever. Because I'm a brilliant guy that just like looks at problems, and because I can analyze problems in this one domain, I can apply it to any other thing. I think that's like problematic across so many forms of content right now.
Yeah. Also, we got to stop people when they use they always say like brain surgeon as like that's the smartest thing in the world. You know,
Sure,
like,
sure.
Boy, they know a lot about one thing, a brain. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, I don't know why we picked that one job to be the like the smartest job in the world.
Yeah.
Also, if you even knew like
Or rocket scientist.
Rocket science. It's not
Those
rocket
two things.
science.
Do those two people create that thing? Like it's just like whatever.
yeah, they didn't invent rocket science. Also,
Yeah.
is rocket science that hard? You push things down and the rocket goes up.
that is rocket science. Yeah.
But also in the medical, like someone who's a brain surgeon doesn't know shit about dermatology.
No.
Like even in that field, they don't know much about the
Yeah.
other thing. So like the fact that they then think they can be like, but you know, because I created the Cybertruck, I know about whatever politics.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like podcasts that are like, because I'm smart, because I went to MIT, I'm smart in this thing too. And it's like, no, you're not.
Sure. Well, I don't know how to fix that on a deeper cultural level when we talk about vaccines or anything else. People just go, they're skeptical of the system, and then they hear someone explain it in a way that's a little more digestible, and so they go, well, that person is right. And I don't know what the solution is. I think what people need, here's the thing that I do miss about school. Or like, I was in Indianapolis, and someone who worked on the dinosaur fossils like gave us a tour from the backstage, you know, making fossils. And as she's explaining to me fossils, I go, I'm fucking dumb. I'm fucking dumb.
You didn't
She's
know they were
explaining.
bones?
Yeah, I did. I said they're not alive still. What's going on? But like as she's going into science, I'm reminded, oh, you're dumb about this.
Yes.
Not everything. You know, I know rockets. But like dinosaurs, Jesus, dinosaurs, it's like if you don't have occasional reminders about your own stupidity, and maybe you lack the self-awareness to feel it. Like I wish everyone who thinks like they know vaccines or they know what's going on to do a crossword against Tova.
Yeah.
And they will go, oh shit, maybe I fucking am a doofus and I shouldn't be you know,
Have some humility.
yeah. We need more ways to be confronted.
You should feel dumb because sometimes, yeah.
Or you should feel in awe of these smart people. You know, like
Nope. You should feel dumb and bad.
Dumb.
the the other thing though is that the other annoying part of this is that when you are the expert in that field, it is so fucking hack the way the dumb shits say they attack your field. And they're like, oh, well, this is what I think about vaccines. And we experience it like for our thing that I did on Dropout. They were just like, how do these people come up with these based on these improv prompts or whatever? And one of the responses was like, well, improv comedians have like go-to lines that they sort of prepare ahead of time, and then they just like find ways to put those in. I'm like, no, we fucking don't. Like, take one class at UCB and try getting away with that. Like, and not that it matters, like being an expert in improv comedy doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's like, I wish you would at least come up with some non-hack, dumb, new things to say instead of like the same shit that people say to you about stand-up or whatever, or about being on Broadway, Like, it's just so tiresome. And I know that someone who's an epidemiologist probably just like, yeah, I fucking heard it. Like, I've heard the 10 things that you're going to say because you went to this website and this website.
Well, that's why they talk about where, a lot of this scientific folks were like, well, we're not going to go on Joe Rogan because we don't want to give this legitimacy. And then part of the pushback is like, well, unfortunately, this thing is powerful. So what you do is you need good science communicators who I think can also make this person look like a fucking idiot. You need like you need some of that in a way where it's a mix of performative and it's a mix of science, and you got to find those people. It can't just be
tough,
fucking.
Though. It's tough to find that.
It's tough to find that
because if you I think this about stand-up sometimes is. We have a system now that the best stand-ups in the world are the funniest people who also are small business entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So wait, are we selecting for the funniest people? Because there's a lot of funny people that aren't good at maintaining a mailing list.
For sure. But
scientists who can be performative on Joe Rogan.
But look, let's go to acting. I mean, it's a lot of it is who's fucking hot.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's
Thank you.
But it's the same thing. It's like I don't disagree. I think we've lost a lot of great comedians who aren't necessarily small business people, or they become the co-host of a podcast. But I think it's
not sure who's getting insulted there.
I think it's me, but
no, it's not an insult.
Oh, okay.
It's not an insult.
Okay.
You don't want to do the mailing list thing.
I'll have my mailing.
Also, Russell's been on Broadway, so like he's doing great.
Not
No,
financially.
he's doing great. But I'm
Believe
saying,
me, I fucking wish Russell had been in Project Gutenberg when I saw it.
Project Gutenberg.
Project Gutenberg. Project Gutenberg is
That's the reality show.
I wish Russell had been in it the night that I saw it, and that's all I'll say. Can I
agree.
give my real quick?
Oh, yes,
this has
do the
gotta
other
stop?
one, yeah.
This has also got to stop. The two of you not having skincare routines. So I heard this on a podcast. I have brought you both.
Thank you.
This is from Trader Joe's. It's very inexpensive. This is their honey hydration day and night.
That's so
cream.
nice.
That's so
all
sweet.
you have to do. There's one bottle that's day and one that's night.
Wow, thank you.
Oh
That's
my
it.
God.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever done.
And
this podcast.
it only costs like I think $10 or something for these, and these will last you.
Day cream
You
night
should have
cream.
lied. You could have lied. But
No. It's
so
at
I put
Trader
it on
Joe's.
my face.
I mean, you do whatever part you want to keep young on your body.
I'm gonna put the day cream on right when we get off
God.
this.
And also, they both smell like honey, which is really nice.
I love that.
Would you try using this? Jerk off?
No.
What if you
could
did
burn.
it and then you're like, oh no, it's a baby. Because as you go, it gets smaller and smaller.
What?
Until by the end, you're like, oh my
Do
God.
you need lube/cream to jerk off?
We talked about this on one of our first
One
episodes.
of our first episodes.
I'm a no luber, as you put it.
Most of the time, no luber too.
And some people go.
Some
Some
people
people are
come to
shocked.
that. That's crazy.
Our friend Douglas goes, "Are you crazy?"
It's a whole bottle of lube.
Yeah.
Some people cannot without the lube.
No, I can do either, but I
Cannot.
sometimes
I
you're
could
like,
with sandpaper if I had to.
Sometimes you
Is that the Scrooge character?
I could.
sometimes you're like, I don't want all the mat, like
I don't want
the
the additional
mess,
cleanup.
or the whole cleanup.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes if you're strategic with the T-shirt or whatever, you can get away almost scot-free.
Well, you wrap it in a t-shirt.
No. I'm just saying that you could. But if you
Can I ask something about
if you're
the
in center
sock?
field and you catch it,
The sock. When I was younger, I never understood. There was always like, oh, my socks.
Either.
You're just using that
I've
at
tried
the
a
end.
few times.
Or do you do it for the whole thing? The
I
sock.
think some people go into the sock.
I think some people
But
go
right
into
at the end. Like, are you
because
finishing?
I didn't understand
coming
that
my
as a
sock.
young lad either, and I was putting it on
I did a
there,
couple times.
and I was like, I don't really see what this does. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like it didn't.
You're holding the around the sock material.
Yeah, I put the sock on my.
You're doing
penis.
like that Red Hot Chili Peppers album cover.
I'm keeping the sock on my foot as I do it.
Right.
It was like
you're
this.
very flexible. Not everybody has that hip mobility to do that.
Let's go to our final segment. So nice.
your blessing.
You better count your blessing. I mean, I could easily say, Chris, you're so generous to do that game night.
I'm
and
very
for this
much.
stream.
I'm
so
very much a
nice.
gift. What are the 4 languages or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
The love languages,
Yeah.
the 5. Gift, yeah.
Yeah, gifting is definitely mine.
Yeah, same with Tova. Okay, can I tell you, because it's coming out? So this is my idea for Tova's gift. Okay. So Tova really admires Bernie Brillstein, the manager, who's just like, he was just like a pioneer in her field. Helped Jim Henson, Lorne Michaels, made Saturday Night Live come to be, and he has a book that I think it's called like Where Did I Go Right or something like that. And I think something Tova and I talk about a lot is like how she's involved in the limelight on the sides, and how is that acknowledged in history. And she jokes she saw the SNL movie and Bernie's in it for like 2 seconds, and she's like, he fucking made the thing happen. It's crazy. But Bernie Brillstein was in an episode of Sopranos. Where he's like at a poker table with everyone. He plays himself.
There's like Frank Sinatra Jr.'s in it, and
yeah. And like Tony goes, Bernie, and he goes, he's a terrible actor. So basically, I found someone on Twitter made a graphic. I said, could someone do this with Cynthia and Ariana Grande's finger? And made this cool graphic, and I hired them to basically, we're going to take shots from Bernie's thing. And using pictures of Tova that I'm going to get from her Instagram, we're going to basically put her in instead of Bernie. So it's going to be like shots of that Sopranos scene, but it's her with like Tony and all the other people like playing poker.
Yeah.
And I think
cool.
It's like,
will she understand the reference? Like, is she a Sopranos fan?
Oh yeah, and she
Okay.
knows certainly that like Bernie was in this scene.
Okay.
And I'll present it like I'll frame it in a way of like Tova and Sopranos.
Note at the bottom, like, this used to be Bernie
This used to be
Brillstein, but
Bernie
we put you
But we
instead.
put you in, and that matters because you like Bernie Brillstein.
On the full explanation. And
But put that on the back because
Yeah.
she looks at it like, and she's like, no, flip it around.
so it's going to be double. So that's going to be the creative side of it.
Okay.
And because I'm nervous and I always double, I think it's a cute gift.
No,
right?
it's a great gift.
Very
Great.
I'm
She-
10% skeptical. In the moment,
No,
I think
it's great. I think it's
but I
great.
don't know y'all, so
Yeah. Then the other part of it, and this is my blessing, Tova, I couldn't say it earlier in podcast, but she was Hollywood Reporter's 35 under 35 for like Hollywood power
Yeah.
players. And it's a big one. It's one that she was very proud to be on, and I think she's a genius.
Yeah.
And I was very just happy that in a field where you don't you get profits from your clients doing well, but you don't always get the recognition. And she's so talented and so smart, and I'm really proud of her for getting that. So my blessing is her and the Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah. Yeah, she really
So
is.
I'm gonna frame.
I
I'm gonna
do
also
feel
frame
like-
that.
Oh, that's
so as a
great.
backup. So I'll do Bernie, and if it goes over great, I'll hide the other one, save it for a different holiday.
Right.
And then if she goes, I go, gift number 2.
right.
I was really a cynical person before about like the industry in terms of before Tova.
Sure.
And just seeing, she's my rep. Just seeing how active and involved she is, it's very like, there is a purpose. It really opened my eyes because I felt like, because you'd have certain people come in and out of things, and you'd kind of, you'd have a commercial agent. And you're like, is this anything? Does this do anything?
Sure,
Like so. Anyways, but my
You hear that, Russell's commercial agent? Are you doing
no,
it?
that's a new one now. But anyways, my blessing. Well, obviously Thanksgiving there was a lot of nice things family wise, but a specific kind of thing that I loved while traveling yesterday. Traveling is terrible. I hate it, obviously. And you're waiting for your bag, and if you go too quick, you don't time it out well, and you're waiting at the luggage thing for too long. But there was a couple in a fight next to me, and it was just the perfect amount of drama where it didn't stress me out. I didn't feel too sad for them, and you were hearing about
He
things.
wasn't like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
No. She was doing most of the talking.
Okay.
But it sounded like maybe they had clearly gone to his mom's house for Thanksgiving in Texas, and something happened with her work files, and it sounded like somehow the mother-in-law was responsible for losing all the work files of the woman's things.
The mother-in-law said, "What's this Dropbox thing?"
It really made that 20 minutes where you're waiting at the thing tolerable. Just hearing the drama, and it really was. Thank you to that couple. They didn't look like they were gonna have a good night, but it really.
What if like airlines and airports like hired actors?
Yeah.
To sort
Oh
of,
my
I mean, it could be an equity job.
God, yeah. Yeah.
Go out there and be sort of immersive theater.
Yeah, and at one point he had enough time. There'd been like 5-minute lull where nothing had happened, and I could see him. He was gonna make a move to like lighten the mood, and he like tried to like do some sort of physical thing, like touch, kind of funny, like tickle thing, and she goes, "No, do not," and it was so.
Do you ever feel the urge to go in and be like, "Hey, listen, I could tell you love each other."
I don't know if they do. It could have been the end of a thing. She looked really upset about all those files, but
or you go up and you're like, "Hey, is this your USB flash drive?"
Anyways,
Or you go up and
that's my
tickle
blessing.
her.
I go,
She goes, yeah, you know what? I'm going with him.
yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
Yeah,
I'll let him
actually,
lighten the mood.
Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing a couple
She,
fighting?
like,
You're like,
laughed.
come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
Can you imagine? They have no idea that I followed it all either. Like that's the other thing too. Is like maybe they do. Maybe they're like that weird guy staring at
No,
our
I
entire
think
fight.
if you're not, I think performers are generally like, I'm shocked a lot of times by like, you can't tell that we can hear you. Like,
I know.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
And
I
then,
think
like,
we're very conscious of that.
I know. But I did have a moment being like, that would be crazy if I listened to this for 25 minutes. If I went over and was like, guys, and just started talking to them about it because they would have no awareness. They were so in it.
But
you know?
you also could just do something so weird that you're just like, what the fuck was that? Like,
I
and,
know.
like, you know.
You're right. Actually, I could have. I had a power. I could have lightened things maybe for them.
Sure.
Anyways.
What's your blessing?
This week, my blessing has been, I'll just say New York theater. Saw a bunch of shows this week.
What'd you see?
This has been, so far, not a single miss among them.
Wow.
On Friday, I saw Gats, the 8-hour Great Gatsby show at the Public.
Oh my God.
One of the best things I have ever fucking seen.
Are you serious?
Yes.
How many intermissions?
There are 2 intermissions and a 90-minute dinner break.
How long are they doing? How long? Many shows do they do a week?
I think 6 or like, I think there's only one night off.
Chris, that is wild. I really think if you told me Meryl Streep was doing it and you get a blowjob the whole time, I'd go, that's too long.
This is like the greatest
blowjob.
fucking thing I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, it really
One
was.
person?
And the thing is, I feel for my friends. They were like, "How was it?" And they want me to go like, "You know what? Wasn't that great? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to see it." And I'm like, "No, it actually fucking rules." And if they close, but like if it comes to your city, you need to go see it.
Wow.
Because it's like, do you know the premise? It's
just
like
told me, right?
No, well, it's like a weird insurance office. Okay, and there's people working in a weird thing. A guy comes in and he tries to turn on his computer. It doesn't turn on. He resets it. Doesn't turn on. He's like, my computer is not working. I can't work. He opens his Rolodex, and inside the Rolodex, for some reason, is a copy of The Great Gatsby. He pulls out the book and starts reading it, and that's the whole play. Like, there's not a single word spoken in this play that's not from the book The Great Gatsby.
He's reading it the whole time.
He's
though.
holding it in his hands 99% of the show.
Are there other actors who are in
There
the
are.
insurance office who just have to listen to him the whole time?
No, so they get folded into it eventually, but it's
Okay.
really cool. It's like the whole play takes place in this office, but things start to like represent things. It's like theatrically, it's very cool.
If time were infinite
Yeah,
and I would never die,
yeah,
I think I would go see it.
yeah, yes. Well, it is from your perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
that's a relief.
Saturday I saw King Lear with Kenneth Branagh,
Oh wow.
which was really good.
Oh.
I thought.
Did he remember? Oh, I have to make
Did he
some
do his hand? No.
Did he
what's-
do the hand and you're like, that's wrong?
No.
King,
What's
wrong
weird?
king.
What's weird is he did that, and he was like, "Role play," and he put it down. And then Saturday night I saw O'Mary, which
Oh,
was
great. Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
I mean that play. So I mean, it has a lot of funny things. There were moments in it where I was like, I felt like as a comedian, it was almost like little bits for comedians.
Yeah.
Where there's like grandiose statements like blah, blah, blah. And then just being like, yeah, you fucking dumbass, where like
Yeah.
the tone breaks all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, those are for me. Just like,
Uh-huh.
those moments. And then
Yeah.
tonight I'm seeing Teeth. And then tomorrow I'm seeing Maybe Happy Ending.
Oh, nice.
So I'm all
Damn,
set.
good for
I've heard
you.
good things about both those too.
Yeah.
Oh god,
Oh,
no,
wait.
I feel corny. I'm seeing Romeo and Juliet. I'm seeing Sunset Boulevard and Gypsy.
Those are all great.
That's great. I want to
Yeah,
see.
we should see
I'll
him
see.
play. I should see him.
Did you have tickets already for things?
What do you want to see?
I would see. I don't know.
I get so self-conscious inviting. I have a thing in my head. Where
I know,
go,
I know.
I'm
Don't
burden-
worry.
I
I know.
when I invite people to things, I go, I'm burdening them with having to either go or say no.
I know. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
I had a friend who, two people just trying to like be new friends. And one was
Tell
like,
me.
hey, do you want to go see Wicked? And the other person was like, I have no interest in that. And it's like, oh, but if you're trying to be new friends, you should go to like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you should be generous about that.
Sure. Oh, well, listen, that's what I saw the game night. I invited Josh Sharp, who's done the podcast before. We always just like get along, and I had reached out to him for the game night, and didn't hear back anything.
Yeah.
So I guess that's not going to be a friend.
Can I tell you one?
I also Courtney
You hear
sent
that,
it in a
Josh
very
Sharp?
official, like assistant way of just like you are invited to the game night of Gianmarco Soresi. So I could see how he'd be like, oh, that's not. It wasn't a
It's
person.
not a friend. Yeah, you
Yeah, it's
didn't
not a
text
friend.
him, yeah.
That's how I want to make friends. Is
Yeah.
my assistant to set
It's very
yeah, that
personal
doesn't feel
way.
like you invited him.
Let me get another grateful thing. Therefore, I have
Yeah.
3 trivia questions for Russell.
Oh my god!
Okay.
All right, Russell. When Gianmarco was in college, what kind of ice cream do you think he wanted or would want right now?
In college, what kind of ice cream would he have wanted?
Yeah, or what kind of ice cream could he get now that would remind him of college?
Oh,
I don't even know the answer.
I don't know if this is right. Either.
I don't know if you would eat it because you don't like to eat sweets.
Okay.
So I can't imagine any ice cream bringing you delight.
Good save on not saying eating disorder. Real.
Yeah.
None of us noticed.
The answer I have is whip and dip.
Oh.
Okay.
That's true. They had different new flavors every week.
Gianmarco got a role in college that was a big deal because he beat the upperclassmen. What show?
Hello,
and
Dolly.
What year in school was he?
Oh. Hello, Dolly Jr.
I have sophomore.
Sophomore?
Sophomore.
Okay.
Sorry.
And the last thing is, in the class called Singing for the Stage,
Oh my God.
he sang a song from what musical about gay people with
Falsettos.
okay, and with who? I don't know who. I think this is
Oh,
a
wow.
somewhat famous name. I don't know. This name matters for some reason.
You know them?
Have they been a podcast guest?
No, but you know them, and they went to my college, so that really does narrow it down.
Oh. Heath
Uh-huh.
Saunders.
Uh-huh.
What else am I
That's
guessing?
great. That's what I
So,
had.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
We did
I
chess
was like-
game
I was
from
like, what?
falsettos.
Okay.
It's one of these songs. It makes no fucking sense. It's very.
Wait, which
there's
song?
a lot of metaphor. Chess game.
Oh, that's from the March of the March.
Must
be.
Yes. Please don't watch me. I can do it.
My you would be a good wizard. Is that who you were?
No,
Or you could be-
Marvin is who I relate to. Everyone says, "Oh, you'd be a great."
Oh,
therapist.
Jason, I am agitato
Jason.
grande.
Everyone goes, "Oh, you know the
Jason."
big Jewy one? That's
Right,
annoying."
right.
You could be that one. Marvin for me.
You know that annoying Jew-
Marvin. Marvin is.
Yes.
I want it all.
Yeah.
So we're doing this tour. And
Oh, sorry. Let me just say that my grateful thing is that my friend Tim Murray gave me these trivia questions.
Oh,
Tim Murray.
Yeah.
Who you did 50 Shades of Grey
Yes.
with.
Tim Murray.
Yep.
Tim, podcast guest, too.
Podcast guest too.
Yes.
Where can people find you? This is coming out on the 31st of December.
At Chris Grace Comedy on Instagram and Blue Sky, or I don't know what it is. And then I will be in Wisconsin January 11th and 12th doing Baby Wants Candy, Shamilton, and Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson at the Overture Center. They're doing like a little mini Fringe.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
There, and then I will be at the Portland Center stage doing Scarlett in May and June for 6 weeks, and then in July I will be doing Chris Grace and Scarlett Johansson at the Kennedy Center.
Oh my god.
Cool.
Very cool.
Legit. It's the one credit that everyone's like, "Oh, this is real."
Uh-huh. What about you? What's going on next year?
Oh, well, next year, Gianmarco people are going to get to see us on tour with The Downside.
We're trying to figure out our closing musical number.
Yep.
There's a falsettos duet I want to do, but now I'm thinking like, do we do What Is This Feeling from Wicked and do choreo, or will it be too dated by then? I don't know.
Could be. Well, our dates are.
Thank you.
God knows. January 22nd, we're somewhere.
Good plug.
Oh, is that?
That's like the one off Vancouver?
No, that's Toronto.
Toronto. Sorry.
Toronto.
January 22nd, Toronto. We will be there.
When you put out your calendar, I didn't know I was doing half of the work.
I know. Sorry. March 8th or 9th, March 9th, we're going to be in Chicago.
Great.
And then, after that,
We're
whole
going to be
next
in
week,
San
we're going to be
Francisco,
everywhere.
San Diego, Los
and you're
Angeles,
not a good
Seattle.
sport as
Portland,
this entrepreneur.
Seattle.
Also, by now we will have
LA.
announced we are going to be doing Just for
Wait, when
Laughs
you-
Vancouver
when are you doing LA?
together.
When are we doing LA? March 14th, 13th, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna play Clock Tower in LA when you're out there.
That's
Okay.
what we
And
should do.
you-
We'll
you
do
have
it.
to come.
We'll do it.
That's what we'll do.
I know the duet you should sing.
What?
What more can I say?
How
What's that
can
from?
I
but that's a
confess?
solo.
Oh fuck!
The
it is.
duet that we're
the duet from falsettos is too sad.
That's why I think I want to do it.
You want to do What Would I Do?
What would I do
When
if
I
I had
had-
not met you? Who would I play my life on?
We can maybe
and it's,
spin it.
He's
And
dying
then
of
he comes
AIDS.
in and he goes, all your life you wanted men. And when you got it up to have them, who knew it would end your life?
I left my child and left my wife to be with you, to be surrounded by such handsome men.
Do you regret?
I do it again. I'd like to believe that I do it again and again and again. Yeah.
You guys are great improvisers.
This is
Or,
the
you know,
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.